Good Wednesday. It's time for the Show Me Almanac for October 5th, 2016. I'm your armchair news reporter and presenter, Joe Hafner, with you. And it looks like we'll see sunny skies for today. Temperatures once again warming up into the upper 70s. A slight chance of showers and thunderstorms developing later this afternoon. An even greater chance of rain and thunderstorms later on tonight. Complete details in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Taking a look at the community calendar for today, a few items of interest to tell you about, which includes the Macon County Health Department office in Macon is holding an immunization clinic today from 8 until 11:30 this morning and from 1 until 5 this afternoon at their office at 503 North Missouri Street in Macon. Also going on this Wednesday, the Randolph County Emergency Director Jim Cherier reminds residents in Randolph County that, weather permitting, the monthly test of the emergency sirens will sound this morning at 11 o'clock. Again, that's in Randolph County. Coming up this weekend, the Scottish Highland Games are returning to Kirksville. Check out the games on Saturday, starting at 10 o'clock at the Faith Lutheran School at 1820 South Baltimore Street in Kirksville. Jackson Weightlifting Club hosted longest-running Highland Games in Missouri. The following classes will be available for registration. They are A, B, C, Masters 40 to 49, Masters 50 and up, Open Women, and Masters Women. Minimum 7 standard Highland events. For more information, check out the Scottish Highland Games on Facebook.com. And also going on this weekend, the 18th Annual Kids Day Adair County Ambulance District takes place this Saturday from 10 until 2 at the Adair County Ambulance Headquarters on Potter Avenue. Come join the fun. Meet the Adair County EMS, fire, law enforcement, and other safety individuals, plus free food and refreshments will be offered. For more details, go to the Adair County Ambulance District website at academs.us. That's academs.us. And that concludes the community calendar for this Wednesday. Now take a look at the latest in local and regional news of interest on this Wednesday. While the tales of yesterday are filled with stories about the movement of goods up and down Missouri's waterways, the use of the rivers to move products is still quite prevalent even today. Brian Ross, the statewide waterways and freight manager for MoDOT, recently tells us that exactly how much weight moves down the Mississippi River.
The Mississippi River is a tremendous asset. We move more than 500 million tons of freight on the Mississippi River every year.
Ross not only put that into a bit of perspective, but also said that they're trying to increase the number of goods shipped using the state's waterways.
Just to kind of give you a perspective, that's the equivalent of 19 million trucks, and having that right on our eastern border, having the Missouri River flowing right through us, is something that we've been using all these years, and we are trying to increase movement on those rivers.
Ross also said that the Missouri and Mississippi rivers have over 1,000 miles in the state, about 250 miles more than Interstates 44, 55, and I-70 combined. Meanwhile, the Missouri race for U.S. Senate has become more competitive than it was thought to be just a few days ago. The Missouri Net's Jason Taylor has the story.
Two Washington-based groups which analyze campaigns and elections have moved the contest into a toss-up category after previously favoring Republican incumbent Roy Blunt. While announcing its change Friday, the Cook Political Report noted the race between Blunt and Democratic challenger Jason Kander has now become one of the most closely contested in the country. Nathan Gonzalez with the Rothenberg and Gonzalez Report goes even further, contending Blunt is in the fight of his life right now.
I was reluctant on how vulnerable Senator Blunt was, considering that I believe Donald Trump is going to win the state of Missouri in the presidential race, but it looks like Senator Blunt is actually underperforming Donald Trump, and that's why he could lose re-election even if Trump wins the state's electoral votes.
Gonzalez says Blunt's resume full of political experience and family full of lobbyists is not popular with voters right now. He's moved the Senate contest from lean Republican to toss-up with a Republican tilt. Jason Taylor, Missouri Net.
Thank you much, Jason. And continue with the news. A Fulton man was killed in an accident on Highway 40 between Midway and Rocheport shortly before 9 o'clock yesterday morning. The Missouri State Highway Patrol says that 25-year-old Antoine Ferguson's minivan crossed the center line of Highway 40 at Route J and hit a dump truck driven by 36-year-old Melvin Pinkett of Columbia. Ferguson was pronounced dead at the crash scene. Pinkett was not injured. Meanwhile, an Ethel woman sustained moderate injuries in a two-vehicle accident in Macon County Monday afternoon. Highway Patrol says that just after 3 o'clock, an SUV driven by 78-year-old Betty Warren of Ethel was stopped in a turning lane on Highway 63, just south of South Rollins Street in Macon, attempting to turn west when it was struck in the rear by a pickup driven by 37-year-old Charles Veers of Excello. 38-year-old Della Cunningham of Ethel, a passenger in Warren's SUV, sustained moderate injuries and was taken to a local hospital for treatment. No injuries were reported for either Warren or Veers. And a Lynn, Missouri man sustained serious injuries in a crash in Audrain County Monday night. Highway Patrol says that around 9:30, 43-year-old Johnny King of Lynn went off the right side of the road at the intersection of Route D and Route M while westbound in his car, struck an embankment and was ejected. King was taken to a Columbia hospital for treatment of his injuries. A fire in a building connected to the Boone County Jail caused about $4,000 worth of damage Monday night. The Columbia Fire Department and the Boone County Fire Protection District were called to the scene shortly before 11 o'clock, where employees directed them to the laundry facility. Light smoke and fire were coming from a commercial dryer unit. Columbia Fire Department investigator Jim Pasley says bedding material in the dryer overheated and ultimately ignited, causing the blaze. No one was injured. Meanwhile, the hunting of wild pigs on public land is no longer allowed in Missouri. A feral hog hunting ban on Missouri's public land has taken effect. State Conservation Department spokesman Joe Jarrick says about 30 of the department's 1,000 conservation areas are having problems with feral hogs.
It's hard to determine the total economic costs on conservation areas of feral hog damage, but what's really easy to see is the actual damage. And if you think about it, a single feral hog could really root up and destroy a whole field in one night.
Opponents of the ban say it's counterproductive to the goal of eliminating feral hogs. Violators could be fined and lose hunting privileges. About 3,600 wild hogs have been killed in Missouri in 2015. A Sedalia man sustained serious injuries in a crash in Pettis County early yesterday morning. According to the Highway Patrol, 69-year-old Larry Veerns of Sedalia drove off the right side of southbound Highway 65 at Shannon Road in his vehicle at around 1:15 a.m., struck a culvert, and overturned several times before coming to rest. Veerns was taken to a Columbia hospital for treatment of his injuries. A Leeton man was killed in a crash in Carroll County Monday morning. Highway Patrol says that around 10:20, 44-year-old Randy Rader of Leeton went off the right side of Highway 10, just west of County Road 330, in a semi-truck, struck a guardrail and a concrete culvert, and partially overturned. Rader was pronounced dead at the crash scene an hour after the accident. With Randolph County offices shuffling around the past month, many residents are now wondering how absentee procedures will take place in the November general election. County Clerk Will Ellis says his office will remain in its current location through the election cycle.
Absentee voting will continue at the old Randolph County Courthouse in Huntsville off of Highway C. We will continue absentee voting there till after the election is over with. Our office does not plan on moving until after the election.
Ellis also recaps the voter registration deadline, as well as hours the office is open for absentee voting.
The last day to register to vote for the November 8th election is October the 12th. In reference to absentee voting, we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Now, on Saturday, on November the 5th, we will be open 8 a.m. to noon at the old Huntsville Courthouse. So if you want to come in to absentee vote on that day, we will be here and be available to everyone so that they can come in and vote.
For complete voting information, visit www.randolphcounty-mo.com. Again, that's www.randolphcounty-mo.com. The Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, northwest of Cairo, is celebrating 150 years this weekend. A sesquicentennial event starts Saturday night at 6 and continues through Sunday. Song leader Carl Armstrong details the plans.
We've invited some of the surrounding churches to bring music and to come, and we'll do about an hour of music. At 7 o'clock, we'll have a short service. Afterwards, we'll do some sandwiches and drinks and fellowship. C.B. Riley's going to bring the message at night. The next day, we'll have our regular church service starts at 11 o'clock. At 1:30, Pastor Milnes is going to do the history of the church.
Armstrong says he's eager for a big crowd.
It'll be good. There's a lot of people around this area that have gone to church there throughout the years, and some of them have moved far enough away that they're going to other churches, but they're still in our association. So we're looking forward to meeting those people and visiting with them, and there's just a lot of history that the pastor will bring, putting this together for a while. I think he has a list of all of the pastors that has preached there throughout the years.
Armstrong has been a member of the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church since the 1960s. Both the Saturday and Sunday schedule for the 150th celebration include a meal and fellowship. A Fulton man sustained moderate injuries in a crash in Callaway County Monday evening. Highway Patrol says that 72-year-old Jimmy Heath of Fulton was driving westbound in his pickup on Callaway County Road 142, just west of County Road 144, when at around 6:15 he drove off the left side of the road, struck a tree, and overturned. Heath was taken to a Columbia hospital for treatment of his injuries. And finally, local and regional news for today. A Columbia man was arrested Monday morning on numerous charges. According to the Boone County Sheriff's Department, 54-year-old Gregory James Moore was arrested on suspicion of failing to register as a sex offender, living within 1,000 feet of a school, and distribution of a controlled substance. Moore was convicted in 1996 in St. Louis County for statutory sodomy involving a 16-year-old girl. Deputies served a search warrant at his residence in the 100 block of Ripley Street and located separately bagged containers of marijuana and methamphetamine, a digital scale, packaging materials, and other drug paraphernalia. Moore was taken to the Boone County Jail with bond yet to be set. Coming up in just a few minutes on this edition of the Show Me Almanac for today, we'll have another look at the community calendar, this time taking a look at some events for tomorrow, and also a complete look at the weather forecast. Right now it's time for the latest from the Missouri Net, which includes sports information across our wide Missouri. But first up, Missouri Net News.
Missouri Net News. Good morning. I'm Jason Taylor. Missouri's U.S. Senate race includes 2 major party candidates and 3 third-party candidates. The Constitution Party's Fred Ryman says building a wall across the U.S.-Mexican border doesn't solve America's immigration issues.
What we need to do is to turn off the magnets that are drawing people across the border in the first place. The real criminals are not the people that are crossing the border trying to feed their families. The real criminals are the companies that are hiring illegal immigrants.
Green Party candidate Jonathan McFarland, Libertarian Jonathan Dine, Republican incumbent Roy Blunt, and Democrat Jason Cantor are also running. Latest polls show Blunt and Cantor tied in the race. Lawmakers could look at raising the state's fuel tax in the next session. Republican Senator Doug Leibla indicated he'll introduce a measure after his proposal for a 5.9-cent hike failed to pass the legislature this year. The bill would have helped create $165 million for roads and bridges. Mike Wright with AAA Missouri thinks substantial funding's needed to address highway needs.
Certainly, you're ultimately going to have to raise the kind of money that's being talked about. $500 million. That'll keep the system in pretty good shape. That's not going to redo Interstate 70. It's not going to redo Interstate 44. If you want to do that, you're going to have to find some additional funds.
The last fuel tax increase in Missouri was a 2-cent hike, which took place in 1996. Any proposal from the legislature would go before voters for approval. Police are looking for a mid-Missouri man accused of child molestation in Boone County. 64-year-old Frank Washburn's charged with first-degree child molestation and enticement of a child under the age of 15. He's alleged to have offered to pay a 13-year-old victim $200 to touch her genital area. Documents show this is the third victim to report Washburn sexually assaulted them to law enforcement. Springfield police say they've received some calls over the past week about creepy clowns roaming the streets. Reports of clowns scaring or threatening children have led police and school districts, including some in the St. Louis and Moberly area, to issue warnings to parents. The Missouri Senate has honored a longtime Warrensburg radio host for his 50 years of service. Brian Hausworth has the story.
Warrensburg State Senator David Pierce has presented Mary and Woody Woods with a Senate resolution honoring Woods' service at Missouri Net affiliate KOKO Radio. Woods didn't expect the recognition.
It's kind of flattering to get rewarded for something that you just do every day. Out of habit, I guess. I'm used to coming to work. I just come to work and do what I have to do.
Woods began at KOKO in Warrensburg on October 3rd, 1966. Woods has been entrenched in the community. He served as past president of the Warrensburg Chamber of Commerce and the Whiteman Air Force Base Community Council. The 75-year-old Woods golfs every day and has no plans to retire. Brian Hausworth, Missouri Net.
15 people are now indicted in a conspiracy to distribute large quantities of meth in the Springfield area. 4 men were originally charged in March. With Missouri Net News, I'm Jason Taylor.
Missouri Net Sports. I'm Bill Pollack. Andy Reid heads into the bye week with the Chiefs at 2-2 after their 43-14 loss to Pittsburgh. He says it's his fault he didn't have his players ready to handle the adversity of falling behind early on the road.
It's not the end of the world, even though it feels that way. We have a week here to step back and try to fix some of the issues. The consistency is we've had 2 road games that we haven't done very well on. So I'll go back and look at my approach.
Football facility plans at Mizzou will be presented to the Board of Curators at meetings tomorrow in Kansas City. The plan includes a new 100-yard indoor practice facility and 2 new video boards in the south end zone. You can check out some of the pictures at MissouriNet.com. Barrett Jackman, who came from a small town called Trail, British Columbia, less than 8,000 people, made his way to the NHL and played 13 of his 14 years with the St. Louis Blues. Yesterday, he called it quits after playing in 803 games for the Blues, second most in franchise history. He talked about how hockey was his first love.
Hockey was my life. I played other sports, but hockey was the thing that really, drove me and, kept me out of trouble in a small town. And
the Blues are playing the Washington Capitals tonight in Kansas City at Sprint Center. It's the second time they've played there and the third NHL game to be played at Sprint Center. Tickets start as low as $15. If you have never seen a hockey game before or an NHL game, the speed is incredible. You should check it out. Toronto beat Baltimore 5-2 in 11 innings of the American League wildcard. Edwin Encarnacion hit a homer. That will send the Blue Jays to Texas, San Francisco, and New York tonight in the National League wildcard. While the Royals are not playing in the postseason, rookie third baseman Chesler Cuthbert will head to the Instructional League in Arizona and try out second base. If he can play there, then they can have Cuthbert and Mike Moustakas in the lineup. Cuthbert is 23. He hit .274. Moose is 28, coming back from a torn ACL. Bill Pollack, Missouri Net Sports.
Farmers are taking another sucker punch from the EPA. Everyone knows EPA is out of control. Now they're using junk science to all but eliminate atrazine. Activists are busy gathering thousands of signatures from people who don't even know what it is. That's why farmers around Missouri, like Brett Hare from Northeast Missouri, are asking for your help in fighting back.
The words seem very strong, fight the EPA, but this is a very important issue to comment on. We want to do the right thing, and safety is important to us because the fields we farm today will be farmed tomorrow. We just want to see the future bright as we pass it forward. If the EPA is successful in this effort, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty this winter as the process goes, but as the comment period ends, that's why it's important to get your comments in.
Farmers need to act now. Tell EPA you know more about farming than the activists. Today is the last day to sign the petition at FightEPA.com. A message from the Missouri Corn Growers Association.
Across our wide Missouri with Bob Priddy. Listen to show archives, hear about this day in Missouri history, and learn more about the Show Me State by visiting MissouriNet.com today.
The 2 men spent the day strolling around town or lounging at the hotel, waiting for a late afternoon appointment with the governor. The names on the hotel register said John Edwards and B.F. Winfrey. Late that afternoon, the governor called several state officials and newsmen to his office and showed them an important letter. And while the guests in the office were discussing the importance of that message, the other 2 men strolled in. The one, whose name really was John Edwards, introduced the other. Governor Crittenden, said Edwards, "I want to introduce you to my friend, Frank James." The story in a minute.
Remember, study for your quiz tomorrow. Teaching is so rewarding and so important for our children. They need every chance for a stronger and better future. That's why a yes vote on Amendment 3 is important. Missouri ranks near the bottom in early childhood education. A yes vote on Amendment 3 will invest in education by raising Missouri's cigarette tax for the first time in 23 years. It's the lowest in the nation. Studies show investing in pre-K produces improvement in reading and math and higher graduation rates. Here's the best part. Amendment 3 funding can only go to children and families. The law says politicians can't divert the money for any other purpose. Politicians can't touch the money. It's for children and families. Let's stop career politicians and vote yes on Amendment 3. Let's support pre-K and a better future for our children. I'm voting yes on Amendment 3. It's important you do too. Paid for by Vote Yes on 3 for Kids. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
Frank James, the famous outlaw, had been the target of a widespread search for many years because of his involvement with the Youngers and with his brother Jesse. But now the gang was broken up, Jesse was dead, Crittenden had offered a big reward, and Frank James was frightened for the welfare of his family as well as for his own life, and he decided to give up. Sedalia newspaper publisher John Edwards had been a defender in print of the James boys and was contacted by Frank in August after Jesse's death in April. Edwards contacted the governor, alerting him that Frank James might be interested in surrendering if some type of amnesty could be assured. Governor Crittenden told James through Edwards that he could hardly grant amnesty on crimes for which the man had not been tried or convicted, but he did promise that there would be a fair trial and protection would be given and that James would safely be able to appear in court. Edwards and James arrived in Jefferson City the night of October 4th, and they checked in at the McCarty house. Although James was a well-known name, apparently he wasn't well-known by his face. He and Edwards wandered around downtown. Shortly before 5 o'clock that afternoon, Crittenden called that meeting in his office, and that was when Edwards and James walked in. James removed his pistol and cartridge belt and presented them to the governor, saying he was giving Crittenden something that no other man except the outlaw himself had touched since 1861. Crittenden told the secretary, Finnish Farr, to take James to Independence to stand trial, but until the arrangements could be made, James was allowed to go back to the hotel. Well, word got around town quickly, and people flocked to the hotel to meet the outlaw. Even the governor and Mrs. Crittenden went over there. The trip to Independence began the next day. People still wanted to see James. They went to jail in Independence. The Kansas City Journal said that the triumphal ride of Frank James from the capital to Independence was ample evidence that this red-handed murderer and train and bank robber is not without friends among the Missouri mossbacks. Had the train stopped long enough, he could have been given an ovation at nearly every stop. James came to trial in Gallatin in August of 1883, charged with killing a man during a bank robbery. One of the key witnesses for him was former Confederate General Joe Shelby, who showed up drunk, couldn't find the witness chair, and then carried on a drunken conversation with a judge. He couldn't find the jury. He argued with the attorneys. He tried to get up and shake hands with James, and he cussed out a member of the prosecution, as well as a member of the gang who had turned state's evidence, Dick Little. He was fined for contempt. Governor Crittenden was the defense witness, too. His testimony refuted that of Little and James that a man had been killed during that robbery. It took a jury, though, 3.5 hours to reach a verdict, and the jury acquitted Frank James. Frank James, in fact, never got into trouble again, never served a day in prison. He moved back to the family farm near Kearney and lived a long life and died in 1915. But the era of the James gang ended the day in Jefferson City when Frank James surrendered to Governor Crittenden on this date, October the 5th, in 1882.
That was Across Our Wide Missouri with Bob Pretty. To listen to show archives, hear about this day in Missouri history, and learn more about the Show Me State, visit MissouriNet.com.
And taking a look at the community calendar for tomorrow as we preview Thursday for you. And looks like a couple of Red Cross blood drives taking place across the area. One of them is taking place from 10 until 3 tomorrow at the Scotland County Hospital at 450 East Sigler Street in the parking lot B in Memphis. Again, that's a blood drive going on tomorrow from 10 until 3 at the Scotland County Hospital in Memphis tomorrow. And also going on tomorrow, the Adair County Public Library is hosting the Wiggles and Giggles Storytime every Thursday for 2-year-olds from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Let's come on down to the library at 1 Library Lane off the Baltimore Strip near Radio Park. And the Missouri Veterans Commission office on the first floor of the Adair County Courthouse is now open Mondays through Fridays from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. For details on the services, call 660-785-2460. That's 660-785-2460. Turning our attention to the weather forecast for today, and looks like strong to isolated severe thunderstorms will be possible across the portions of northwestern, north central, and west central Missouri today, as well as extreme eastern Kansas into this evening and tonight. The main threat will be for large hail up to 1/4 inch in size. Otherwise, small hail, gusty winds of 30 to 50 miles per hour, and frequent lightning will be the main threats. And then for tomorrow through Tuesday, severe thunderstorms will be possible across portions of northeastern Kansas and northwestern Missouri tomorrow. The main threats from that storm system will be for large hail and damaging winds, with several rounds of rain expected through tomorrow night. Minor flooding will be possible with an additional 1 to 3 inches of rain in the forecast. Forecast in detail, calling for a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms after 5 o'clock this afternoon. Otherwise, sunny skies, temperatures warming up into the upper 70s. Southwest winds at about 5 to 10 miles an hour, shifting to the south and southeast throughout the afternoon. And then for tonight, a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms likely, mainly between midnight and 3 a.m. Otherwise, increasing cloudiness with lows in the lower 60s. East to southeasterly winds about 5 miles per hour. Rainfall amounts anywhere from 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch possible. For tomorrow, a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms likely. Highs once again in the upper 70s, with mostly cloudy skies otherwise. South winds at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Rainfall amounts anywhere between 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch possible. Then rain and thunderstorms likely tomorrow night. Lows in the lower 50s. South to southeast winds about 10 miles per hour. Shifting to the northwest after midnight. Wind gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. And then for Friday, drier weather with much cooler temperatures. Highs in the low 60s. North winds at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Wind gusts up to 20 miles per hour. Mostly clear Friday night. Lows around 40. A little bit warmer on Saturday and Sunday, with highs in the mid to upper 60s, lows in the mid 40s to lower 50s. For Columbus Day, sunny skies, highs near 70, lows around 50. Sunny skies on Tuesday, highs once again around 70 degrees. That's been the latest in news and weather information on this edition of the Show Me Almanac for Wednesday, October 5th, 2016. My name is Joe Hafner. My time is up. Thank you for yours.